Tonight, you'll probably eat something that comes in a box, a bag, or a wrapper. Maybe bread, maybe pasta, maybe something with a label listing 20 ingredients you can't pronounce, and you won't think twice about it. But for almost the entire span of human existence, none of that existed. No bread, no farms, no grocery stores. So what exactly did your ancestors put in their mouths to survive? The honest answer is stranger, messier, and far more impressive than most people realize. For roughly 290,000 of the 300,000 years modern humans have existed, there was no agriculture at all. That means for about 97% of human history, every single calorie a person consumed came directly from the wild. No planting, no harvesting, no stockpiles, just whatever the land offered up on any given day, in any given season, in any given place on Earth. And here's the first thing that surprises people. It wasn't mostly meat. For decades, the popular image of ancient humans was a band of spear-wielding hunters dragging home a mammoth. That image isn't entirely wrong, but it's badly incomplete. Anthropologist Richard Lee conducted a famous study in the 1960s on the Jew/Hwanzi people of the Kalahari Desert, one of the last groups still living a largely traditional foraging lifestyle at the time. What he found was that plant foods, things like roots, nuts, berries, and tubers, made up the majority of their diet by weight. Meat was prized, celebrated, shared communally when it was obtained. But day to day, gathering, not hunting, kept people alive. This pattern shows up again and again across foraging societies studied around the world. The ratio between plant and animal foods shifted dramatically depending on environment. Near the equator, in lush forests, plants dominated. In the Arctic, where vegetation is scarce for much of the year, animal fat and meat became the primary fuel. There was no single paleo diet. There were thousands of them, each one shaped by geography. So what did this actually look like on a given day? Picture a small group moving through a landscape they know intimately, generation after generation. They aren't wandering randomly. They know exactly where the fig tree fruits in late summer. They know which roots are edible only after roasting to break down toxins. They know which insects are protein-rich and which mushrooms will make you violently ill. This knowledge wasn't written down. It was carried entirely in memory, passed from elder to child, refined over thousands of years of trial, error, and observation. Tubers were a massive part of this picture, especially in Africa, where many researchers believe early hominins relied heavily on underground storage organs, roots, bulbs, and similar structures. Unlike fruit, which is seasonal and fleeting, tubers stay in the ground. They're a reliable backup when other food sources fail. Some researchers, including paleoanthropologist Richard Wrangham, have argued that the ability to access and especially to cook these starchy foods may have played a crucial role in fueling the energy-hungry brains that define our species. And that brings up something important. Cooking changed everything. Once humans gained control of fire, likely at least 300,000 years ago and possibly much earlier, the entire menu expanded. Raw plant foods are often difficult to digest and low in usable energy. Cooking breaks down cell walls, denatures proteins, and makes calories far more accessible. A cooked root delivers dramatically more usable energy than the same root eaten raw. Some researchers argue this single shift, the ability to pre-digest food using fire instead of relying entirely on your gut, may be one of the most significant dietary transitions in human history. Insects deserve a mention too, because modern audiences tend to recoil at this, but for most of human history, insects were simply food. Termites, grubs, locusts, ant larvae. High in protein and fat, often easier to obtain than large game, and in many regions, still eaten today as a normal part of the diet. The squeamishness around insects isn't universal or ancient. It's a relatively recent cultural development in certain parts of the world. What about meat then? When it was obtained, it mattered enormously. Hunting large animals was rare, risky, and often unsuccessful. But when it worked, it provided something plant foods couldn't easily match: concentrated fat and protein, along with organ meats packed with nutrients like iron, vitamin A, and B12. Among many foraging groups, organ meats, the liver, heart, brain, and marrow, were often considered the most valuable parts of an animal, not scraps to be discarded. Bone marrow in particular required no cooking and no tools beyond a rock to crack the bone open, and it provided a dense source of fat in environments where fat could be scarce. Here's a question worth sitting with. If your ancestors' diet varied this much by location, season, and sheer luck,